All right, we're just going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start off by introducing myself a little bit. I am your Indiana HOSA State Secretary, and my name is Alexandra Medina. I am a senior at Morton High School and at the Area Career Center in Hammond, Indiana. So how are you guys enjoying Winter Rally so far? You can unmute your mic if you want to, or you can type it in the chat. Nice, I see some thumbs ups. Awesome. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. It was very helpful. That's awesome. That's what we're here for. If you have any questions throughout my presentation, do not hesitate to stop me and ask me anything. So I'm just gonna quickly share my screen. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you see it clearly? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to be focusing on service hours and how they come into play with our recognition awards. And two of our recognition awards are the Barbara James Service Award and the Service Project. So service awards allow us to gain a sense of community, and HOSA encourages our members to provide community service through the adoption and implementation of strategies related to help support of any healthcare organization. Hold 1 second, the monitor, there it is. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. Opportunities. HOSA allocates a variety of methods for our members to give back to their community, along with rewards for their hard work. So HOSA wants to give a little bit of recognition to you for helping out your community, whether you volunteered at a nursing home or a hospital, how big or how little. We want to give you a good thank you for helping out someone else. So our recognition awards include the Barbara James Service Award and our HOSA Service Project. The Barbara James Service Award is a recognition event that provides members with the opportunity to become contributing members of their communities by performing worthy volunteer community service hours related to healthcare. So when they say related to healthcare, this means any aspect of it. This does not just mean hospitals. I have to work in a hospital. You don't just have to volunteer at a hospital front desk. You can volunteer at a veterinary facility. You can volunteer at a physical therapy office. It really varies between whatever is most accessible to you. And again, whatever just works for you. And as long as you're helping your community by performing set service hours, you will be recognized for this event. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background history on our Barbara James Service Award, and it is set in the memory of Barbara James. So in 1982 to 1983, the HOSA Incorporation Board Chairman State Officer for South Carolina was Barbara James. Her leadership skills and contributions to HOSA exemplify the caring and compassion of HOSA members. She is a strong representative of what HOSA members are and what HOSA members are set out to be. So this award aims to inspire members to be proactive future health professionals and recognize individual HOSA members who have committed to community service in health. So Barbara James has been a prime example of what HOSA stands for, and HOSA wants to give a little bit of a thank you and recognition award to other people who follow in her footsteps. How to get involved. So you go to hosa.org, and as you saw in our last workshop with Iola, she showed you how to go through to how to navigate the HOSA website. You go to hosa.org and you go to competition and click on the guidelines tab. And then you can scroll down to recognition events. And in the subheading, you can click the Barbara James Service Award tab or the other recognition events to gain their guidelines. So for the Barbara James Service Award, their guidelines include their general rules, their tracking hours, their timeline and recognition level processes, their eligible hours, and an option for additional local recognition. For our recognition levels, we do local chapters, as in your chapter at your high school or at your career center. You need a minimum of 100 hours, and 50 of those hours have to be aged 11 to 15 of when doing those community hours. So these are only prime and set to people that are ages from 11 to 15. So these are set for local chapters that are established in middle schools. At our state level, it's between people that have been entered and approved by their chapter advisors in the online HOSA tracking system. So the dates for these are from June 1st to 2020 to April 2nd, 2021. Meaning if you are interested in getting this award, you are most definitely still eligible and you still have a lot of time to get your hours in. At our national level, it starts from June 1st, 2020 to May 15th, 2021. And the activities must be entered and approved by your chapter advisors in the online HOSA activity tracking system by midnight on May 15th, 2021. So when you log in your hours into the system for state and national recognition, they are used to identify your levels at the International Leadership Conference. There are 3 levels. So after obtaining your first 100 hours, you are eligible to get different levels. So once you have the recognition award, you get the recognition award once you have 100 hours period. But then afterwards, you are eligible to get different levels of the award. You are eligible to compete for the bronze, silver, and gold levels. For the bronze, you need a minimum of 100 hours to a maximum of 174.9. For the silver level, you need 175 hours minimum and 249.9 maximum. For the gold level, you need 250 plus approved hours. As a state officer, I definitely love and I love giving back to my community, and giving this bigger position, I have been able to volunteer and give my service to many other facilities. So I have been a recipient last year of the Barbara James Service Award with the gold level, because I volunteered in several hospitals and ambulance companies and in my local nursing homes. And this was all in the span pre-COVID, because then after COVID hit around March, everybody really let go of their volunteers. So it was really unprecedented times. And I'm going to talk about how you can volunteer specifically now with our COVID restrictions just in a minute. But definitely, you can still volunteer in certain hospitals. I am still, to this day, a volunteer at the front desk. There are some certain limitations where I can't have any patient interaction anymore, but I still get my service hours at a medical facility. So support your community. How you can get involved. You can volunteer in hospitals and nursing homes, and like I said, physical therapy clinics, veterinary offices, ambulance companies, and the American Red Cross. So once you complete your shift, you must submit your hours to the HOSA activity tracking system. And from there, your chapter advisor is going to approve them. And that way they're going to be in our system so that you can be eligible for any level or the award itself. Now, during these unprecedented times, the American Red Cross, 7 Cups, and United Nations volunteers has made it possible for us to still obtain our rewards with little to no patient and public contact with our social distancing rules. So the American Red Cross has some virtual options for administrative support and fundraising and planning. So it's a lot of meetings with the American Red Cross people and their managers, and you plan blood drives and you work hand in hand with them on the administrative side. You don't really have any patient interaction, but you are still helping in a quote unquote medical facility. 7 Cups is a website that provides online therapy and support to individuals in emotional distress by pairing them with trained listeners, that's going to be you, to discuss their issues. So right before you become a trained listener, they will give you a kind of crash course on how to deal with all of this emotional distress. And definitely they will train you before you start. I looked into it a couple of times and it was an amazing opportunity to get some patient interaction without really breaking any of our COVID restrictions. United Nations Volunteers is a multitude of online volunteering projects and positions to sharpen your skills and remain involved. So they have a bunch of stuff for you to choose from, kind of like the administrative positions in Red Cross. They have tons of them. And the trained listeners with 7 Cups, they have multiple things like that too. And it mainly ranges from translation to people that don't speak English. You kind of help on research and writing, outreach, and just healthcare services that need many more to suit your interests. Our national service project, the sponsorship of a health organization by local HOSA chapters, selected by the voting delegates at an international leadership conference. Chapters document their involvement by submitting documentation via the online HOSA tracking system by deadlines to be eligible for state and international recognition. Sponsorship term of 2 years. So our current national project is Be the Match. It supports and gives resources before, during, and after a transplant. Access to the world's largest and most diverse marrow donor registry. Resources to help healthcare professionals provide optimal care for transplant patients. Patient assistance funds to ease the financial burden of treatment. Research that is saving and improving patients' lives. So currently with our national service project, the same method to get to the guidelines. You go to the HOSA you go to the HOSA website and click guidelines, then scroll down to recognition events and click on the HOSA service project subheading. And the guidelines include the event summary, the general rules, the tracking hours and money raised, the recognition levels and process, and how to get involved. So basically for this event, you and your chapter get together and come up with several fundraisers and you raise money. And then once your advisor collects all of that money, it depends on your school, but many of them, how they do it is that they give the money to their school, and their school writes a check to HOSA, and HOSA turns it in to our national service project, Be the Match. And that's when you include your hours that were spent in the event, the hours that you spent at each and every fundraiser, the hours that you spent creating each and every fundraiser, and the money that you made after each and every fundraiser. Supporting your community. This helps people come up with creative ways to support our national service project. Like I said, fundraisers and service hours with the organization. You submit all of your hours and funds to the HOSA activity tracking system. Do my service hours count? Many people think that it's a little confusing between healthcare facilities and just kind of like clinics. They don't know if their hours really count. So some questions that you should really ask yourself or your chapter advisor before um, approving activities is, what service opportunities will help the HOSA member be the best health professional in the future? Is this activity something that makes the HOSA members step outside of their comfort zone? Does this activity provide a service to the community? So it doesn't count if you're getting paid because that's not a service to your community. That's definitely more of a paid internship or a job. Does this activity meet a need in your community? Does this activity relate to health? Is the activity related to the health science curriculum? So I'm talking about this activity tracking system and where to put in your hours, but this is a little bit on what's in it. So this is where you submit your service hours and where you submit any money. So you fill in the information in each one of these boxes, and you see how there's a drop down menu under activity code. You click it and it'll either say Barbara James Service Award or it'll say the National Service Project. And you click for whichever one it's for, and you put in your number of hours. And if you clicked the National Service Project, an additional box is gonna pop up and you're gonna put in the amount of money that was raised during that event. So now we're gonna take the next 5 minutes to do a little activity. So just write in the chat what recognition award you are most interested in pursuing and why. So an example for me would be, I'm more drawn to the Barbara James Service Award because of the story behind it. Knowing the names of others who have done this really allows me to make a personal connection to this award. So take the next 5 minutes to write in the chat, and we'll be right back. Awesome. I'm seeing a few replies from Laurel, Julia, and Virginia. Many of you are saying the Barbara James Service Award, and Julia, the National Service Project. This is awesome. Awesome. I'm looking at all of them. Virginia, I am interested in the Barbara James Service Award because it provides an opportunity to connect with the community. By volunteering at a hospital or healthcare facility, it allows us to grow in different parts of what would be required in the healthcare field, such as socializing, sympathizing, and patience. Awesome. I'm seeing a lot of great responses. We're going to continue with the presentation, and if you guys want to discuss more about it, definitely am open to it. Let me just share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay. So together we are one. Volunteering increases self-confidence, and you are doing good for others in your community, which provides a natural sense of accomplishment. Your role as a volunteer can also give you a sense of pride and identity. You should definitely, like I said, take pride in volunteering because you are giving your time and energy and all of your skills to whatever facility you are volunteering at, and you're learning in the process. So we're gonna go over a couple of debrief questions. Can one of you unmute your mic and answer, where do you find the recognition award guidelines? Don't be shy.
At the HOSA website under, I think it was events.
Yep, yeah, awesome. Someone else, how many hours do you need for national recognition of the Barbara James Service Award with the gold medal?
You need 250 hours plus.
Yup, yes, awesome. And one more person. What does the National Service Project require you to do as a chapter? Like, what do you have to do to complete the event? What do you have to do as a chapter? Is the question confusing or okay, we'll skip over that one. So what the National Service Project requires you to do as a chapter is to fundraise so that you can get money and give it to your school, and then from your school give it to HOSA, and HOSA gives it to the National Service Project from you. So do you guys have any questions for me? Any comments? No?
For some of the volunteer programs, is there like an age restriction?
It depends where you're volunteering. Like right now, because of COVID restrictions, a lot of hospitals and ambulance companies are restricting it to strictly 18. But it just really depends where you're volunteering at, because there are other facilities like PT offices that are more not necessarily lenient, but that are allowing waivers to be signed by your parents, and you can volunteer at that physical therapy office as long as you have permission by your parents. But it really just depends where you're volunteering at.
Okay, so I wanted to do that 7 cups thing that you showed. So what would the age restriction be for that?
There is no age restriction for that. I believe you only have to be 16 and up. That's just the age minimum. How old are you?
I'm 15.
Oh. Well, you almost made the cut. I'm sorry. But definitely look into a couple of the other ones that I showed. Do you want me to go back to the slide?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. There it is. So you can try the United Nations volunteers, because they have just a multitude of them. It's kind of like a search engine for volunteer opportunities. Try their website, and a lot of them, their age restrictions varies between jobs. So for the American Red Cross, because you're definitely going to do administrative work, and you're going to be doing things like fundraising and planning, there is going to be a restriction for 18, and 7 cups is 16, and United Nations has a multitude of it and a variety. So it just depends whichever one you find in that website.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have any questions?
So I'll go back to Shreya. Where are you located at?
In Greenwood.
Greenwood. Okay. So I know that there's a lot of different volunteering opportunities, even for someone that's 15. Even though you may not be, I don't know, interested in veterinary medicine, I know the shelters for sure are definitely looking for all kinds of help when it comes to helping out with socializing the animals and stuff like that. And I do know, I want to say St. Francis down there also has a couple of volunteering opportunities in some of their long-term care facilities, which you could qualify for as well. So it might take a little bit of searching, but I do know that there are some down there in Greenwood.
Any other questions? Okay. You can find my contact information right on the screen. If you have any questions regarding, events or volunteering opportunities, you can email me at sec@indiana.hosa.org. And if you want to contact Indiana HOSA, their email is info@indianahosa.org. And you can find us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, Indiana HOSA. Just look us up and you can, contact us through messages on there. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach us. Thank you.